Hey everyone, welcome to Points in the Paint, brought to you by For Fantasy's Sake. We are sponsored tonight's show by Yard Barbers. We have a lot of news to bring to you. For Fantasy's Sake has recently partnered with Monkey Knife Fights, a daily fantasy sports gaming website. So now you can go to Monkey Knife Fights and get started with a 100% matchup bonus up to $50 by entering promo code FFSQC into their when you sign up. More news. As in the past, Yard Barbers has sponsored our show. They can continue to sponsor our show. What is Yard Barbers? Yard Barbers is a local full-service lawn care company in the Quad Cities. Feel free to reach out to them at yardbarbersqc@gmail.com so they can come over and give you a free yard evaluation and estimates. Also, we've got For Fantasy's Sake gear now available. If you go to For Fantasy's Sake, or if you go to our Facebook page, you're able to check out some sweet gear from Viridian Global. It's a lot of stuff that we updated in the last week, and some pretty sweet deals going on for gear. We've got some great sponsors coming on board. We're excited about it. We're jazzed. But I'm here to talk about basketball. Sam is going to be joining me here in a little bit. But right now I'm checking out the UTEP and Kansas game. UTEP got a 9-point lead over Kansas right now. So if unranked UTEP can get an upset over Kansas, that would be huge. Right now, we've also got Iowa playing Nebraska. Nebraska's playing at Iowa. So I don't foresee that being an issue at all. Iowa fans, you can rest easy that the Hawkeyes are probably going to win this game. Other news, Baylor continued their streak. I know they lost over the weekend. They're going to stay hot. Michigan ended up beating Michigan State tonight. But what I would like to do is kind of stay in the world of college basketball, probably for the vast majority of tonight's show. Recap the Illinois versus Michigan game. I know a lot of people are pretty high on Illinois. I know for Fantasy's Sake, one of our founders, DJ Jarvis, is a Illinois fan, at least as of right now. They're good. I'm not a believer that they can make it their way and go the distance and win it all. I don't see it. They went up against a Michigan team who was not playing their best basketball. It was probably Illinois' best day versus Michigan's worst day, give or take. I'm going to look at some stats here. I know Michigan shot like 30% from the field. You shoot 30% from the field, you're not going to win basketball games. That's bottom line. Illinois shot a 47% from the field. You outshoot your opponent that way, you're going to win. They rebounded Michigan 42-26. They just beat them on both sides. They beat them on offense, and they beat them on defense by rebounding them. They got second chance points. It's pretty simple to figure out how Illinois beat Michigan. I don't know that when Illinois meets Michigan again, whether that be in the Big Ten tournament next weekend or in the NCAA tournament in a few weeks, I don't know if they can repeat that performance. It's a tough call. Michigan's a great team, and I'm not counting them out by any means. For my bracket, I've got them going far. Illinois, I've got them going decently far, but we'll see what happens, who they run across, because when they come up against somebody that's bigger, I don't know if I can give them the win. There's Sam. Sam, welcome to the show. I was just kind of talking about what we had going on. We're watching a few games. We're watching the Iowa game. We're watching the UTEP game. And was just touching on a little bit about the Illinois versus Michigan game recap.
That was
I don't know
crazy,
what
dude.
I felt like it was a fluke game for Illinois.
It had to have been. I mean, even if they won without Io, which is fine, but they blew out Michigan. I think it was so bad that Michigan's taking it out on Michigan State right now. Because I think, or last I checked, Michigan was really taking it to Michigan State. It was like 66-40 when I last checked. I'm gonna check right now.
Yeah, Michigan beat Michigan State tonight. That game's
Okay.
over. But like I said, I was looking at stats, and Illinois shot 47% from the field.
Wow.
And that's to Michigan's 34%. You just can't. You can't. Just looking at that, you know who won.
Yeah.
Illinois out rebounded Michigan 42-26. Illinois did have more fouls, but towards the end, Michigan was definitely probably playing that foul game of, you know what, let's just get to the line, try and get those, free points that, you can get from the free point line. Free throw line, not free point. Sorry.
You're fine.
But that's that game. That's in the past. Michigan ended up winning tonight, and now Kansas is within 5 of UTEP. All right,
so I just mentioned
three now.
I messaged you like 15 minutes before, and that's what took me so long to get on. I was getting on my stuff over from my office. But my dude, if Kansas loses to UTEP, dude, I'm gonna throw my laptop across the room. Like, there's no way you should lose to a team that's 12-10. But Kansas hasn't been that good this year either. They've actually dropped that. They dropped out of the rankings for a while. Like they were kept losing games.
Yeah,
so I mean they're
those powerhouse teams that you're used to seeing. They're not on top anymore. Kansas, Duke, Kentucky. They're not in. They're not even in talks for the top seed anymore, which is crazy.
Kentucky's having a horrible year.
Yeah, they are. Kentucky is having a very bad year, and I don't see them. They'll be lucky to even make the tournament.
I don't think they'll make it. I honestly do not think they'll make it.
I mean, they very well couldn't. It really just depends upon how well they do in their bracket and their playing games.
If they do make it, it's just because of Calipari's reputation, but they're going to lose. I mean, let's see how they do in the SEC tournament, because Kentucky usually gets better as the year goes on, as the freshmen learn how to play together. But I was watching their other game the other day, and I looked at some of their players, and it just seemed like it's a really good mix of players. They have a lot of tall. They have a lot of tall players, but they're not really skilled. They're young. Like they have the one guy from Michigan, and I could actually see that guy going pro. I see that two of their guys, like they're two of their top freshmen are like forwards, or like there's one guy who's 6'10", another guy like 6'7". I can see them both leaving after this season. I mean, they have a senior who's like another big man, but like they just have not, been that good this year. So.
Yeah, no, they really haven't, and they've been extremely inconsistent with their games. They've dropped a lot of games where they normally should have either blown out their opponent or gotten a win. So we can't count on them to make the tournament, let alone do well in the tournament.
No.
So
it's remember that
those things that I think it's just a turn of the tide. We're reached a point where Kentucky was on top. Now all of a sudden they're not anymore. Who's replacing them? In this year, I think it's Baylor. I think Baylor gives them a run for their money. What I'm excited for is if, say in the championship, I have a feeling Gonzaga is getting to the championship.
Same.
I think a very, very good matchup would be Gonzaga versus Baylor.
I agree.
That would be an exciting game.
Baylor's head coach is still Scott. If it's still Scott Drew, I think it is. I can't remember I know Gonzaga's coach is still Mark Few, but both those coaches, if it's who I think it is, are both well tenured. So I think that would be a really good championship game. I think it'd be a really good back and forth battling. It's not the sexy team names, not the Dukes or the North Carolinas or the Kansases that we're used to, but I think it'd be a really good game to see Baylor versus Gonzaga. I think that'd be a really good. I'm assuming they'll be matched up, so they'd be in the same, opposite, brackets where they'll meet in the championship. If they're the top two seeds. And shame on me too. I know me and you and Linda were talking earlier, and I thought Oklahoma State can actually beat Baylor. I'm like, oh, Oklahoma State's on a nice little 5-game win streak, but Baylor, I think they beat them by like 10 or 9. So I'm like, Baylor's like, no, they're not. We're not having that. And then Baylor just lost.
I saw the spread was 21 points, and I knew
wow.
OK State would cover it.
I didn't know it was that. I didn't know it was that much.
Baylor,
that's crazy.
That's a tough call.
A 21-point spread in a college game. That's crazy.
Important thing to note.
What's that?
Villanova.
Yeah, they lose.
They lose. Their starting point guard is out for the rest of the year. Torn MCL. Done.
Didn't they just lose to like a really bad team? Was it? They just lost. Let me see. I got my phone. I'm gonna pull it up. I swear I thought they just.
They lost. They beat Creighton, but they lost their point guard.
Yeah. No, I thought they.
So.
Oh, they lost to Butler.
Yeah, they lost to Butler over the weekend.
Yeah,
I believe.
Butler's only 9-13.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
But
they lost their point guard.
I think losing their point guard. I think we can consider, depending upon where they get seated at, possibly an upset occurring, especially if they get one of those cursed 5 seeds.
You know what? The thing with Villanova is that they're just one of those tournament teams. I can still see them maybe. Man, I mean, they lose. They'll probably play, the Big East, tournament, but I can still see them making a run. And they're Jay Wright, is a great coach. Jay Wright's a phenomenal coach. And just look at all the Villanova players that are pro, or just the players that come out of their program. Kyle Lowry, Josh Hart. All these guys are just tough. Their program is just tough. So they're gonna have that next man mentality where, hey, we lost our point guard, but the next man up. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna compete. If they lose and they fall out of the tournament, we're not gonna make it easy for the team. We're not gonna fold over and lay down. They're gonna compete. And the point guard Gillespie is a senior, so that sucks for him to go out but they're gonna. I think the team's gonna. I think the rest of the team's gonna rally behind them, and I think I can still see Villanova making a Sweet 16 run. I can see it, happening, especially if their backup point guard gets a lot of playing time in these games and they go far. That's why this tournament might be really good for them, the Big East tournament, kind of.
I will say they're probably not losing to Providence this weekend. They play them on Saturday. They play them on Saturday. So
nice.
Really to keep your eye on Villanova in their tournament to see where they get seated at. I think that's going to be their future. I mean, if they get a bad seed, a low seed, they could get overlooked and they might be able to make some waves. But I think if they get, one of those middle seeds to one of the cursed seeds, like the 5, I think
shredded 5.
I think they're done. I think that's a good for you people that are looking at upsets. If Villanova hits a 5 seed, I'm taking whoever they're playing. I don't care who it is. I'm throwing them out.
That's what I did. Was it 2 years ago? The year where John Morant was when they beat Marquette. I bet on every 12 seed, and every 12 seed won. And 12. I'm like, I remember people like, oh no, you're crap. I know, dude. 5 versus 12. 12 always wins. And I remember going through looking at my seed. They lost. I'm like, I'm not even surprised anymore.
Yeah, it's you can't trust them until they figure their shit out. You can't trust them.
I mean, if you're a team too, and you get the 5 seed, you're probably gonna. That psychologically, that's gonna be in your head, the history behind. Because at this point, everybody knows the history behind, a 5-12 seed. So if you get that seed, you're probably thinking like, oh man, man, are we gonna lose our first game? Things always happen. We don't want to be that team, But you have to think this stuff's going on in the back of your head.
You have to. It's like Virginia. 2 years ago, they get bounced first round by a 16 seed, and then have to come back the next year and get in the tournament, and then win all the way out to get to the championship. You had to know that was the monkey on their back, to just sitting there and saying, hey, last year you got bounced first round. You got eliminated in the biggest upset in NCAA tournament history.
A lot of brackets that year.
Oh,
my
100%.
bracket.
There's anybody that says that they regularly took UMBC to beat Virginia. No way.
Unless you went to UMBC, then you can justify that. That's like the only.
Even then, I don't know
maker.
if you can justify it.
School spirit runs strong, man. Don't underestimate.
I'm not saying school spirit doesn't run strong, but I mean when you're going up, when you know who you're going up against.
Yeah.
I know that if Iowa goes up against Gonzaga in the tournament, Iowa's probably losing.
We'll keep it close, but I mean that's what happened when we played them last time, and we lost to them.
It was a good game. It was a very good game.
But I said
I do not have a problem losing.
I know, but I said the way we would lose was the guard played towards the end because we don't have as much playmaking as they do. Garza's is great, but Garza's not a point guard, and Garza needs a guard to get him the ball for the most part. And you saw that guard for Villanova just go off. I can't remember Adams. I can't remember. He just really exploded late in the second half. And Toussaint, Bohannon, there was no answer for him. Frederick, no.
Just so you know, Kansas is tied at 59.
Hey, is that screen blue on your end?
Your screen is blue.
It just randomly. I don't know how that happened.
I don't know why your screen's blue.
It just.
You are blue.
I literally.
You're blue. Dabu dee, dabu die.
I wonder if I can do something about this.
Still blue. Well, if Sam figures out his blue screen, it's the good version of a green screen, I guess. We are going to take a look. Obviously, monitoring this Kansas game. UTEP has a 1-point lead now, and Kansas got and won. So the Kansas just takes the lead, 61-60. But what I want to do is Big Ten tournament starting up next week. We've got the NCAA tournament selection Sunday coming up a week from Sunday. Let's take a look at some of these Big Ten tournament teams coming in. We have Northwestern, and if the season were to end today, obviously there might be some fluctuation with some seeds, but if the season were to end today, Northwestern and Penn State would kick off on March 10th, along with Nebraska and Minnesota. I'm going to take Minnesota, and I think I'm also going to go Northwestern over the upset against Penn State. Either way, whoever wins that matchup is going to lose to Ohio State in the next round anyways. So if I miss that pick, that's not a huge deal. Looking forward, Michigan State, I'm going to take them over Rutgers because once we get close to the tournament, Michigan State usually starts heating up. Izzo somehow finds ways to win close to the tournament. They're probably going to get into the tournament in probably a later seed, maybe a 13, 14, maybe higher. We'll see. But Michigan State beats Rutgers. Ohio State beats the winner of Northwestern and Penn State. Indiana, I'm going to take them as the upset over Maryland. Indiana's played spoiler to a few different teams this year, and I really like their odds. Minnesota versus Wisconsin. I don't think I'm going to take Wisconsin to win that one. I like Minnesota. Minnesota plays hard, but I think Wisconsin is going to get into a good groove, and especially if they come off with either a win against Iowa this weekend or a very close loss. I think they're going to have enough momentum to propel themselves at least into that second round. Starting from the top, we'll have Michigan versus Michigan State then. Michigan's going to win that one handily again. Purdue versus Ohio State. I think that's going to be a big matchup. Sam, you're not blue anymore.
Yeah, I don't know what – I guess leaving and coming back was the cure. I wasn't blue in the beginning. It just suddenly just turned blue. I remember, like, I was like, that was weird.
You were not blue in the beginning.
No.
So I don't know what happened.
It's been a weird year for technology, man. I couldn't even tell you, but glad I got that bug fixed.
Well, I was waiting for you. I was killing time a little bit, going through the.
I was listening. Oh, I'm blue again. All right, whatever.
I guess you're just gonna be blue the rest of the night.
Yeah, I have no idea. I saw what you're saying. Yeah, and I looked at Iowa play Sunday at Wisconsin, and I think Iowa will win that game. I think Iowa's kind of focused, and it looks like, yeah, they're up 22 versus Nebraska. I was actually very worried there for a second, but
you should not have been nervous. Why would you have been nervous?
I mean, I've seen Iowa drop like games after game after game. Like, I've seen us, like I said, it's always like, oh, we go like this, and then we lose our first game in the Big Ten tournament, make the NCAA tournament, and lose that game too.
Definitely, it's one of those things where I think you have to take it with a grain of salt, though. I think really that only game that really surprised me was the Indiana game.
Indiana figures out.
There's our founder.
I saw
DJ,
that.
Throwing that in our face.
It's kind of hard, DJ, though. It's hard to compare those two players because one's a guard and one's a big man. Like, one's a playmaker. I will say
Garza has a better looking nose right now.
Probably.
But I think that, like you said, I think Iowa wins, going into the tournament, and they've got a good setup if the season were to end today and seeding were to stay where it's at. Iowa would then play the winner of – I have Minnesota beating Nebraska to get to Wisconsin. So they would play the winner of Wisconsin and Minnesota. I think it's Wisconsin that wins that game. So we're going to have that third matchup of Iowa versus Wisconsin, and I think it would be at Iowa. So I think Iowa still.
Well, it's a Big Ten tournament though, so it's going to be at a neutral site, isn't it? Indiana, are they all COVID and everything? They usually play at Indiana.
They're in Indianapolis. I lied. So, yep, yeah, you are correct. So it's not at Iowa. Neutral site.
Where are you looking at the schedule for this?
Resting because they play the next day.
When does the tournament start? What day?
So the tournament starts on March 10th.
Is the schedule out? Because I don't see the schedule.
It'll start on Wednesday.
Okay. I want to plan to go play and watch the Iowa game. I want to watch their first game.
That would be on the 12th.
The 12th?
Yep. They don't play till the 12th. So you have your first games. You have Northwestern and Penn State, and then Nebraska and Minnesota, potentially. This is a projected bracket as of March 2nd. So this would be if everything stayed the same. Mm-hmm. Kansas up by 4 with 4.6 left. So looks like Kansas is gonna pull out this W. But so then you have that's those two games you have on the 10th. March 11th, you come over, and then you have the early games. You have Michigan State versus Rutgers. You have Indiana versus Maryland. And then you have Ohio State versus the winner of Penn State and Northwestern. And then Wisconsin versus the winner of Minnesota and Nebraska. So then the winners of those games would go on to play Michigan, Purdue, Illinois, Iowa.
Okay.
So before the day the Big Ten tournament starts, Iowa has like 2 rest days.
So after we play Wisconsin this Sunday, they don't play again until Friday.
Yeah.
Nice. Monday, Tuesday. 4 days of rest.
Looking at the big games, Michigan obviously moving on to the Final Four in that tournament. Depending upon I like Purdue. I think it's going to be Purdue versus Michigan. And you're going to call me crazy, but I think the one team that's going to dethrone Michigan, I think it's Purdue.
Purdue's tough, man. They're usually a tough out in the NCAA tournament. That's not crazy at all, in my opinion. I've seen them I remember that year they versus Texas Tech or something a couple years ago where they went pretty far. It was like,
and here's why. Purdue is on a 4-game win streak right now.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Wisconsin a couple days ago. They will play Indiana on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And they're gonna, go through that rest period. And then so they'll beat Indiana, so they'll have 5 wins. They don't have the best record home or away, but that's not really applied here because you're not playing. You're technically playing away, but nobody really has the home advantage either.
No, it's neutral.
Yep. So I think Purdue definitely has the momentum to beat a Michigan. I also think we're going to have an Iowa-Illinois rematch.
Ooh.
And I hope to God that Iowa does not disappoint me again.
It's tough. It's tough, dude. Sumu is really good. I think he's going to be a special player at the next level. He's good nab. I think he's going to really be a special player. And then the big man, Cockburn, Kofi, he's a low dude. He's big enough to match up with guards. He's probably big. I think he's stronger than guards. He's got more mass on guards. And so whoever has a better game between the two big men, whoever stays out of foul trouble. And guards is pretty good at not getting in foul trouble. But I mean, obviously, if you're banging up into big like that and you're getting sealed in the post and this and that, then the officials will call that. But I mean, like,
I will say when Iowa and Illinois played the first time,
mm-hmm.
Iowa was without CJ Frederick.
Yeah.
So that is a different maker in Iowa's game. And I think as long as Frederick is healthy, I think Iowa takes it, and it will end up being Iowa versus Purdue in the final, in the championship game there. And I think that's a game that Iowa could potentially win.
They should win for morale purposes.
They should win, but I don't know if you can. If Purdue dethrones if Purdue beats number 1 seed Michigan in the Big Ten tournament, I think Purdue wins it all. I think Purdue wins the Big Ten tournament.
I'm guessing that Iowa game on Friday, the Big Ten tournament game, that'll probably be on at 11. And I'm thinking ahead because I know I'm going to a birthday party that day, so I want to watch. I'm hoping it's an 11 o'clock start because I want to watch the game and then go to the birthday party later.
So that first game would start at noon.
Yes.
Game 8 would start 25 minutes after that. 25 minutes after that first game ends.
Mm-hmm.
And then Illinois would play whoever they play at 6:30. Yeah. And then Iowa would play 25 minutes after that game's over.
Like 8. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, shucks.
But Iowa, they win on the 13th. You'll have that Iowa-Illinois matchup.
Yep.
In the late afternoon.
Everybody wants that. Everybody wants to see that, especially around here.
Oh yeah, I think it's only appropriate, and I think that it's probably going to happen, especially with the way Iowa's playing now. So I don't think you have anything to worry about. I think, like I said, I know you want to watch the game. They have the late game, but I think Iowa will survive to play another day and be in that hunt for the Big Ten championship.
We'll see, right?
We will see.
We will see.
I think that they'll also do pretty decent in the tournament, but I feel like we can wait to fill out a bracket to next week and do an early preview before Selection Sunday. Let's see here. What else is there?
Yeah, there's nothing going on in the NBA. I know like they
There
have
really
All-Star
isn't.
week here.
I mean, I searched and it's a lot of little itty bitty stuff.
Right. So Kansas did end up winning that game, so that's
Yes, they did. So
that's
you don't have to throw your laptop across the room.
no. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to. The stream would just die. I would just disappear off the stream. I'm on my laptop
The
now.
screen would turn black instead of blue.
Yeah. It actually it stopped blue for like momentarily, and then it just went back to it. So I'm not sure what the deal is. I actually had some screen issues earlier this week on a Monday where like my screen was so dim like you couldn't see anything. So I'm wondering if it's my laptop now. But I mean I'm on here, so I don't know if you've seen the message on the chat where they call me a Smurf. I thought that was hilarious because I remember watching the Smurfs. I remember watching the Smurfs as a kid, especially the Christmas episode at Christmas. They made a live action movie, Smurfs. I've never seen that.
I was gonna say it looks like you're underwater.
Swimming with the fishes. Swimming with Luca Garza and the fishes.
But yeah, we're looking at games tonight.
There's a lot of games tonight. That Oklahoma and Texas game, I know that one's pretty good.
That was, like I said, that was going to be the best game of the night.
Yeah.
Texas up by 10 at the half.
Nice.
Iowa is up by 19 and they just started the second. So we're good there. I still like Texas as a dark horse.
Yeah, I like Texas. No, Shaka Smart's their coach, dude. You know Shaka, what he did at VCU. He put VCU on the map with that press that they used to do. And man, he put. I remember when they beat Kansas, and I was like losing my mind. Like, what are we doing? But I mean, it was good coaching, dude. Shaka Smart, and that propelled him. That got him that Texas job. Is what he did. Work he did at VCU.
Mm-hmm. But I just think a lot of people are going to overlook Texas as a 15, and
no.
I don't. I think it really depends upon where they get placed. I think that they could make some waves, and I'm excited to watch. I'm excited to watch them play because I've seen them play a few games this season, and they have not disappointed. They have played very, very good basketball, and their record doesn't show it. You look into who they've lost to. It makes sense why they are where they're at.
I mean, and Shaka Smart's a great
so they've lost to Baylor. They lost to Oklahoma State. Keep in mind that game went to 2 overtimes.
Mm-hmm.
They've lost to West Virginia. All the teams they've lost to pretty much. They lost to Texas Tech. That they've lost to teams that are very respectable, that are ranked teams. It's games that you would have expected them to lose if they were to lose. Competitive games that, just throughout the season. That's all it's been. And you can make the argument that, well, when they lost to Oklahoma State, they were sixth in the nation, and Oklahoma State was unranked.
Mm-hmm.
But look at the run Oklahoma State's been on since then. They got hot, and you can't control that as a team. But earlier on the show, I just like to bash on Illinois a little bit. I still think I don't like them getting very far in the tournament. I don't, not at all. I don't think that they have. I think that they're going to early. I think that they will run into a big team, and they won't be able to beat them. They're going to lose. If they run into a 1 or 2 seed in the tournament, they're done. That's my.
I wonder I'm curious about who's going to go further between Iowa and Illinois. So that's something I want to keep in mind, like when the tournament starts, the NCAA tournament, of course. I want to see Who
Who goes
I
further?
mean, any given team can be beaten, in the tournament. We both know that. So yeah, it's what a beautiful time to be alive. Hey, I'm not blue anymore. See,
Hey, look at that.
man, if it's not one thing, it's another. A couple weeks ago, I like rolled over my headphones, my old headphones with my computer chair, and I was like trying to get ready to set up, and that smashed the USB cord, so I had to like find another one on the fly. I mean, last week before, like man, it's just like if it's not one thing, it's another. Andrew, I tell you.
Oh, I know. I'm very well aware. My funny enough, my boss broke his chair today. Really, cat? My cat jumped up on my couch and shook the computer. Don't worry, it's fine. So my boss snapped his chair today.
Was he leaning back like?
No, he was literally just sitting there, and I just heard this big, and I just looked over, and he looked at me, and he's like, "I think that means I broke it." And he stood up, and he turned it over, and it literally like fell off. It was the craziest thing. Yes. Hi. Anyway, that's pretty much all I had to talk about tonight was college basketball, a preview of the Big Ten tournament, bashing on Illinois, and then looking at some potential upsets. And obviously, we would have had a little bit more to talk about if UTEP would have beat Kansas, but Kansas is still in everybody's good graces.
I think you wanted that to happen. Dude, I was wigging out when I saw that. When I'm like, dude, if they lose, because they were down like 14 or I think it was like close to 20.
They were down a lot, and it was a big comeback for Kansas. And I don't know what that means for. I mean, I don't know if
means for.
Where are they at? There they are. All right. So looking at the Big 12 standings, Kansas at 12-6. They're going to get in. It's going to happen, but they're not going to have a super high seed.
No.
I think that could honestly benefit them.
Kind of playing under the radar. Yeah, I agree.
I think that could mean that they go up against somebody that maybe they get a. I don't know. It's so early to tell still. I'm just throwing out numbers here, but I think you're going to see a lot of teams come out of the Big 12 and just they're going to make splashes. They're going to make some noise, and I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the top 25 teams are in the Big 12.
Oh, geez.
So, I mean, it's just full nuts. And, of course, it's always nice to see that Iowa State has 0 wins. Those are the two teams I like to bash, Iowa State and Illinois. But, Sam, I don't know if you had anything else to bring up.
I'm checking some scores now.
Any big ones jumping out at you?
Nothing.
I was going to say I didn't really see anything, even in the NBA. The Grizzlies are beating the Bucks right now by 1. So Grizzlies are taking it to Milwaukee.
They're playing today?
Yeah.
Yes. Wait. Oh, no. Today is the last day. And then tomorrow's the. Oh, I did have a problem with them. I saw I guess I could be wrong. I had a problem with some of the players that the NBA selected for like how they rookies versus sophomores.
Ja Morant going off 32 points.
I didn't see this, but I think
I'm a big Ja Morant fan.
I like him. Only thing that scares me with Ja is just him staying healthy because obviously he's a high flyer. There's a lot of NBA games on tonight. Yeah, but I thought and I haven't really been following All-Star Weekend, but I know what some of the players they picked for like the rookie sophomore or like rising stars or whatever it's called now. Like they left out a lot of players who should have been like they left out Kobe White. And I'm like, he's having a phenomenal year. They left out God, who else did they left out a bunch of players. I saw a list on Twitter and I'm like, wait, he's not in it? He's not in it. They left out the guy from New York, Emmanuel Quickly, and I'm like, he's having a really good rookie year. And I'm like, I mean, it's
unfortunately all that is anymore is it's a popularity contest.
That's why it's kind of been like less and less, All-Star Weekend for me as I've gotten older. It's like I don't even watch it. I'll go back and look at the highlights maybe and kind of like it's like, oh, like what can we do to kind of spice it up? And I'm just like, well, it's really like a popularity contest, So
yeah,
what are you gonna do? I mean, it's for the fans. It's for the fans. I get it.
Yeah, it is for the fans, but at the same time, you want to see those players that are working hard, that are playing hard, that are coming out and showing out that hey, they're being recognized for their hard work and for their play, and they're not getting their due diligence. Yeah, so frustrating. I agree, Shane. Big 10 over Big 12. However, that's you can't deny the amount of talent that's going to be coming out of the Big 12, and their teams are they're so good.
They don't play any defense in the Big 12 though.
No. And blue again.
it's just like running gun in the Big 12. They just don't play any defense. That's why I love the Big 10 because the Big 10 they get after it. They play defense and they get after it.
Yeah, but I mean, we'll have to wait and see how those teams play against each other in the tournament, and we'll have a nice little preview of everything going into next weekend. We'll be talking Big 10 tournament. We'll be talking we'll probably throw in the Big 12 tournament, but then into Selection Sunday, and our show in 2 weeks will be the first play-in games. So we'll be able to take a very good, hard look at the entire NCAA tournament bracket, and we'll be able to pick a winner. And I somehow believe Sam and I will come to different conclusions.
Probably. And that's okay. That's completely okay.
But Sam, if you don't have anything else, we'll cap off tonight's show. Again, huge thank you to Monkey Knife Fights for sponsoring our partnership with Daily Fantasy Sports Betting. Again, you can go to Monkey Knife Fights and enter in the promo code FFSQC and receive 100% match bonus up to $50. Huge thank you to Barbers for sponsoring our show tonight. And also Meridian Global for Fantasy Sake gear shop now. You can go to our For Fantasy Sake Facebook page and find the link there and check out the gear we have in store. Otherwise, Sam, I don't know if you have anything else.
Nope. Looking forward to, I guess next week's show is going to be like right on the cusp of like the Iowa game. So we'll at least have like some Big 10 games that have been played. So some of the dust will have settled by next week's show. So that'll be interesting.
I believe we're going to have some upsets to talk about. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, at least one.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I agree.
We will see you guys next week at 8:30 on Thursday. Stay safe.
Take care. Enjoy your weekend.